Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mindful Momentum podcast. I am your host, Robin Todd, and super happy that you have tuned in to our podcast today. And always grateful for an opportunity to talk to our guest today, Monica Mayberry. So she's doing amazing things in our area of Kansas City, probably beyond. We'll learn more about that. But let me tell you a little bit about Monica, and we'll get going in our interview. So Monica has a master's in social work. A licensed counseling social worker, LLC.
Licensed clinical social worker.
There we go. Thank you. She has over 26 years of experience in the social service field, advocating for domestic violence survivors and immigrant communities. She played a key role in helping KCPD implement the lethality, is that right?
Lethality assessment.
Assessment screen. Thank you. And serves on various committees addressing mental health access and system responses to domestic violence. Currently, Monica is the Director of Community Behavioral Health Services at Mattie Rhodes Center. And in her free time, she enjoys hunting, camping, and exploring the outdoors. So, yay. Are you also still bike riding? I remember you
I actually talked about that to my staff yesterday. So February was Heart Awareness Month, and last year I had AFib surgery. And so I had to take a little bit of a break. It set me back. And then exercise, and I just probably like anyone else, it's like a love-hate relationship. But the one passion I do have is the outdoors, and I absolutely love riding my bike. So this past, just from Sunday to Sunday and Wednesday, I just rode 20 miles this week. So I've built up my endurance, and I plan on doing at least 20 miles every week. That's my goal.
Good for you. I love that. Okay, you might think of me as a cheater, but last year I got an e-bike.
Okay.
It is
Just
so
getting out there and just moving. It's great.
It is. I mean, I can still work and break a
There
sweat
you
if
go.
I want to. Like, I can not let the battery assist me as much. But man, it's so great on those hills.
Yeah.
And anyway, of course, okay, total side note. My husband didn't want one because I don't think it's very macho, but he really liked mine, so he ended up getting one. So now we can go together and
Good.
yeah, it's super fun, but
It is.
kudos to you. I mean,
Thank you.
those things, anything with our heart is just, it's kind of scary.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you're doing better and hopefully everything came out okay, was successful. Did you have an ablation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was really scary. I didn't know you could burn the artery.
I know,
Sounds
isn't it?
really scary, but yeah, if you have to have it done, I highly recommend it. It's been great. I feel better than I did ever before. I was
Oh,
having heart palpitations, which I thought was anxiety or stress, but it was an extra artery that I had. So they did the ablation and got rid of a couple extra. Um, I don't know if they were valves necessarily or arteries. I'm not a heart surgeon, but
yeah.
they fixed me right up. So
Oh
I
my
feel so
goodness.
much better.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so
Feel like
glad.
a new person. So now I just need to get my exercise in and
Yeah.
hopefully knock down some of those those medications and maybe not have to use them. So, but
And the
yeah,
time is right. The
yeah.
weather's turning,
Oh,
and I know it's great to be outside. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your role at Mattie Rhodes Center and a little bit about Mattie Rhodes because I'm amazed at even though we've been working together and partnering together for many years, there's still a lot of people out there who don't know about the work that you do. So, share a little bit about that, Monica, if you would.
we're an organization that's been around for 130 years. So Mattie Rhodes is an actual person. She was part of a group called the Gleaners back in the day. And she had it in her heart that she wanted to help the poor and the marginalized community and said, I have a little bit of money. What can I do to give back? And so with the Gleaners, she helped the poor. And then right before she passed away, she gave some of that money to her friends and said, I really want you to pass this on and see what you can do to continue this organization or foundation. And so they put in the money to continue the work, and 130 years later, we have provided a multitude, I should say, of services, anything from daycare, after school programming, early on in the day. So in about 1980, we started thinking about, well, what do we do for social service programming? And how do we support the community with mental health, food insecurities, and paying the bills? So case management and therapy started around that time. We were known more for our art. So we have a multi-million-dollar building right off of 17th and Jarboe. It's beautiful. We work with local artists and do art exhibits. So anyone that's in the area that wants to go spend the afternoon or a day to see some artwork, we always have events happening in that area. We have Day of the Dead events. We have golf tournaments, different fundraising opportunities. The organization itself, again, we're always looking at what the need is in the moment. So every year, it's really surprising how many programs we start. Some of them we continue on, and some of them, just due to lack of funding or our work is done for the moment, ends, and then we start something new. But we are looking at the social determinants of health. So anything from workforce development to health, mental health, education, youth programming, so we're running the gamut across a person's lifespan, and really looking at wraparound services as well. So if a person comes in for food insecurity, well, what else might be going on with the family that we could help with? And so we do an assessment. We offer other services, and lo and behold, sometimes they need to come in and, okay, I'm going to enroll my child in the after school program. I'm going to also maybe enroll them in summer camp. I may also benefit from therapy or case management, those things. We also have a substance abuse program for youth and adults. In Spanish, we do get combat funding for that. So we provide services all over the state. We're not limited to just this county. I manage the behavioral health program. So I manage our case managers in schools programming. So we have a contract with the Kansas City Public School District. We have case managers and therapists that work with students to help them manage social emotional learning or skills, and manage anything from bullying to suicidality, peer pressure, and just family dynamics. So the student might come in, but we're also addressing the family as well. They may have food insecurities, and they may also come in that way to our services here at the center. We have therapists on site here at the center that are trained in different interventions to address anything from depression to any certain diagnoses that might present themselves that may require the care of a psychiatrist. So we want to make sure that we're working alongside the psychiatrist and the social worker and the therapist to ensure that they're getting services that they need, and aftercare plan as well. So gosh, I can't tell you how many other, we have a crisis response team as well. We have a great manager, director. Her name is Molly Mansky. She's out in the community. That program is growing as well, responding to youth at risk who may have witnessed gunshots or are maybe assimilated with gangs, or just maybe youth or detention, that kind of thing. And it's been really a great and successful program. We're now on the Avenue, so we're accessible to the community right here on Independence Avenue. So folks that are maybe not necessarily wanting to come to a clinical setting, if you're right off a building that you could just walk in and get your needs met, it's a little bit more approachable and easy to access. Gosh, what else can I tell
I
you?
know. Well, you also have people there who help with domestic violence.
I do manage the domestic violence program. I have a clinician and a therapist, and we've been around since 2000.
Goodness.
Managing that program. So we have collaborations with about 6 other shelters. We have 2 that we work really closely with to help with shelter placement. If we have families that have a pet and they don't have anywhere to put them, they will help us with that. We have some dental clinics and some legal support once they're our client. They do qualify to get a referral if they're looking at child custody or divorce type issues. So our staff will accompany our participants no matter what they're contending with. If it's going to apply for assistance for WIC, going to a doctor's appointment, or going and getting an order of protection and walking through the criminal justice system from reporting to 911 all the way through prosecution, we have the staff that will support our participants through that process.
What a wonderful resource, because all of that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard for people, and to know that you're there in the community to, yeah, offer that assistance, yeah, is wonderful. And I just feel like I love that you said, each year there's kind of new programming that, and I love that too. You continue to be agile in terms of what are the needs, how do we meet those, and maybe those stick and maybe they don't, but at least you're fluid enough to really, meet people where they are at that period of time. Yeah, I'm just so impressed with all that you do. And I know you also, as a leader within Mattie Rhodes Center, are working really hard to create a culture of mindfulness and resilience. And I've been just so inspired over the years as you've been kind of taking those steps toward, really, really changing and shifting that culture within, because we all know that the people who are serving others aren't always the best at taking care of themselves. They don't always embody the things that they're encouraging other people to embody. And so I love that you're really have been investing in your own employees. So tell us a little bit about how the importance in your mind of promoting mental health and mindfulness within Mattie Rhodes Center.
You may also be familiar that many of us in the mental health profession come to it because of some personal experiences.
Yeah.
That's the passion behind a lot of the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so for myself, as a leader, I really look internally. I've always been that kind of person. And one thing that I really loved about social work and what I learned in my tenets of being a social worker is looking introspectively first before you start providing assistance and help to other people. Because if you can't address, let's just say, your own biases, your own stumbling blocks, if you're not quite whole or healed, let's say, in certain areas,
Mm-hmm.
those are going to cause problems later on in your work with people, because we're complex and we're human beings and we're going to make mistakes. And I've made many of them myself in my professional life.
Haven't
And
we all?
but I learned from them, right? That's the great thing about that. And I really count my blessings, and the reasons why I've made those mistakes have only made me who I am today. And then I can then maybe give some coaching and some support, and really I'm really about empowering other people, particularly those that are coming up in the field. What are some stumbling blocks to look out for? How can I help you navigate XYZ so at the end you become a stronger, more productive, yet resilient person as just a professional? But where mindfulness comes in is my own personal journey that's coupled with my own personal walk in my faith. I think mindfulness has only enhanced my spiritual journey. And so that for me is priceless. I'm trying to say that without getting choked up.
It's okay. It's all
Yeah,
right.
it,
I
it
cry all the
really is.
time.
It really is. And as a leader, how can you lead people, right? And this is where the I'm not really good with sayings, but this is where you really learn what you're made of, is if you're not practicing those things yourself,
Yeah.
are you really being a good leader? And I really take that to heart. What comes out as far as any advice or thoughtfulness or any of those things, I first ask myself those questions. What have I done when I've encountered those things? What, how can I be of service? How can we use mindfulness to kind of take that second breath, that second to breathe, to collect our thoughts, to think through a problem and either let that problem go, because what is in our control, what's out of our control kind of thing, and letting that kind of go into the cloud and disappear. Or what are some ways that we take that problem and clear, once you get clarity, then that problem tends to kind of clear up a little bit. You may not necessarily find the solution. So for me, I really try to take everything that I've learned through mindfulness and just apply it in my everyday walk. It's hard, especially when there are projects and there's lack of time and you have XYZ to do. There is still that voice in the back of my head that says, hold on, you have 1 second to just, one, breathe, and two, there's nothing that can't be either done later or just take your time. Just take your time. And then when I give myself that grace or that permission, that I'm able to be more clear, I'm more happy, I'm less stressed, less anxious. And that is something that my team needs from me as a leader. And so how can I ask them to walk in this journey of finding what mindfulness means to them if I'm not doing it myself?
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I think too, you stumble upon a couple of things that I just think are really beautiful nuggets. One is it's a gift we give ourselves, but it's also a gift you give the people you're leading, the people you're serving, your family, your community, right? Because it ripples out beyond us.
Yes.
And I also love that you've recognized early on the importance of this top down because you're right. I mean, we work with lots of organizations and they see the value of it, but as a leader, they don't want to make the time to invest in it, but they want their people to be mindful, right? And so I think the difference that I've observed in organizations like Mattie Rhodes is when you have leaders who are you of course got certified but just are really on that journey of growing in actual not mindfulness, not just saying they're trying to be mindful. It changes everything, and the people you lead know that you're modeling it, you're living it. You know, you're a work in progress just like everybody, but it does change things within organizations.
Yeah. I like to say from the top down, in and out.
Wow,
So
I
from
love
within
that.
out. Yeah, for sure. Because what's within my heart is going to come out and hopefully inspire other people. And you're right. I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes as a leader, but the difference is, how do I recognize it? How do I
Yeah,
try to rectify it and own up to that? And there's
right.
some vulnerability around that too. And I think as leaders, sometimes, through my journey and working in other organizations, many years ago, um, I always thought, I guess leaders have to be perfect. I really did. I thought you have to have your P's and Q's. You can't make mistakes. You have to be pristine. You have to talk a certain way, act a certain way, and you never make mistakes.
Mhm.
And I just learned, no, the best leaders are those that are humble, compassionate, and own up to their mistakes. Or, I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. And then not only just that and just apologizing, but making it better. Don't do it again. right? How can I do it different later so it doesn't get repeated, and learn from that. So
Yeah. It's that growth mindset.
it's the growth mindset. Yes.
It is. I mean, we teach that to kids,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's certainly a lesson. If we didn't grow up in that era of learning that as adults we want to embody as well. Um, yeah, and I think that you touch on an interesting point because I think um, there is a certain mentality of leaders that they can't kind of cross that line of sharing. And it's interesting. I do talk with people about, okay, well, where is that line, right? We certainly doesn't mean that you're, sharing all the skeletons in your closet and airing all your dirty laundry. But I think that what goes so far is when you do share those, just being authentic in your own hardships and the things you're experiencing and the mistakes that you make, the people you're leading see you as real, and I think trust is increased. Just that culture of acceptance of that mistakes do happen, and that, yeah, I mean, we make mistakes, the people we lead make mistakes, and how do we promote that growth? So
Absolutely. Right. And so I promote that to our staff. Be authentic, be real, and own up to it, and learn and grow. It's really all I expect.
but it's not easy.
Really, it isn't easy. And so how do we practice? And when I see anyone struggle with that, then my coaching kicks in, right? How do I support as a leader, to not mm, make them feel ashamed,
Yeah.
embarrassed, or maybe I shouldn't share that with my boss or my supervisor. Um, but I really do strive to give space to be authentic and real, and not feel like you're going to get in trouble for being challenged by something. I think for me, it's better that you share that, and how do we come up with a solution to get through that challenge, so that way we either learn from that experience, we grow from that experience, um, and try not to repeat that if that's applicable, or just grow from it, really.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I really
Yeah.
love it.
Yes. Well, I do too. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what do you see as barriers, or resistance, or, just kind of speak to that. Like, what do you see um, in terms of, I mean, for you and I who live it and believe in it and have allowed it to really transform our lives, that's again creating a culture within an organization isn't always as easy as that. And so what do you see as the obstacles that maybe that you've faced, or resistance that you've found that you've kind of had to navigate and overcome?
Well, I have to say, overall, I'm really lucky and blessed to have a supervisor who's my CEO,
Hmm.
um, who has allowed me to invite mindfulness, and just to continue this journey. So from a upper management or leadership role, I'm not getting any resistance or any barriers or anything like that. And it's been really great. The staff are really open. I think we've had a great turnout of folks that have been interested in wanting to be certified in mindfulness. And I think that's what it takes. One is to be open and eager, but for those that may not know, what is mindfulness and how do I practice that? And what does that mean for me? And oh, does that mean I have to share things? And oh, that's really vulnerable. It feels awkward if you have never um, experienced that, or may not come from that background, right? So that is the resistance I see, maybe, or the newer, or some folks that are new to this type of work, or experience, is I'm not quite sure what that means for me yet. But I am really, really happy to take our certified staff and re-energize the agency by meeting with them and trying to figure out now that we're together, we're going to be meeting March 21st as a collective, and we're going to start with all of the ones that have been certified and the newer ones and say, okay, what does this mean for us as an employee? But also, what does it mean for us as we move forward in the organization? How can we share what we've learned with other staff members? So if they're interested and they see this isn't as scary as what I thought it was, or, oh gosh, I really understand the process now. And yeah, I want to learn more and I want to start practicing that. I think sometimes there's just this disconnect and misunderstanding that what mindfulness is and what the practice involves that can create a little bit of resistance or just some feelings. But overall, I've been really fortunate to be surrounded by people here at the organization and staff who are interested. So now the next step that I'm looking at is how do we regroup and get our plan together to then share and within the organization, really start influencing more the culture, because we are a trauma-informed care organization, meaning we don't want to ask individuals, well, what's wrong with you, but more, what's happened kind of lens. So we have that foundation, but we do need to grow it. We live right, in 2025 right now, we're living in some really challenging times, and families are really more than ever challenged with a lot of things in our community, and that can be very taxing to staff. So I think the timing of us regrouping and just spreading what we're learning and modeling that, and nuggets here and there that we can say, well, let's take a mindful minute. Maybe that could be part of our language culturally across the board. If we're in a meeting, if we start our staff meetings, if we're having supervision, we can carve out a mindful moment or mindful minute and say, okay, let's get grounded. We need a little bit of time to refocus or just feel like we're supported, or we just need to let the day go and just, think clearly in the moment. What is it that we need as an organization so we can feel a little more relief, because we are truly, I heard a few staff say that they're feeling like they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. So I think it's just perfect time to try to provide some of that to our staff.
Absolutely. I love that you're working to get that group together to build that community of support. I shared with Monica before we got on that I'm so blessed because this is what I get to do every day. So it's easy for me to keep mindfulness top of mind. But when we go through the program and then you're out on your own, we have to keep being intentional about, you know, um, keeping that mindset and those practices, close at hand, because otherwise we shift onto autopilot and we're kind of back to operating the way we did before. So I love that you're investing in creating that time, because you do have to be intentional about it. And in a time when time is precious, nobody has any extra time.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly what happened last year. Is it was in my heart, like, I need to get this done. I want to do this. I need to, I want to start mindfulness, with the ones that are certified. But you said it, time. Last year, I honestly don't know where the time went. Time is really literally in competition with so many things, projects and XYZ things. And prioritizing is exactly what needs to happen. And I just honestly, I think around Thanksgiving and Christmas, I was kind of reflecting about, okay, going into next year as a leader and a supervisor, what is it that I'm going to prioritize? And I definitely came to the realization that I can't, I can't function without putting mindfulness or some type of practice into the work that we're doing. It honestly, I can tell the difference in my own mindset, in my body, in my core, and in my heart. When I do those things, total mind, I can do 10 times more when I do that than when I don't. So that's my challenge for this year, Robin.
Love it. Love it. Well, and you know what? I mean, kudos to you. Some time is, as we had mentioned before we started, is it's a timing thing, right? And I love that you're coming back around and really kind of prioritizing that. Speak a little bit, and I think you know, we've never really talked about this, but I know it's a challenge. Um, you work with a predominantly Latino Hispanic community, how that has been a little difficult. Little did I know, because I don't speak Spanish, but the translation. And so I know some of the people going through certification now are kind of doing their practice training and kind of translating as they go. And I think we did some presentations that were um, trying to translate. But how is that, and how is that community um, different or maybe the same as anybody else? But yeah, any different?
Yeah, it really is. It is the same in the aspect that we're from a culture that it makes sense to practice um, settling our mind and our body. We come from oh my goodness, go back to the Mayan and the Aztecs, and I'm very proud of the heritage and the culture that we come from is about the land and about the stars and about the moon and about nature. Um, and so it's in our DNA. And so it makes total sense. The challenge has been interpreting with anything, right? Any type of concept or word or meaning. Some English words don't necessarily translate over exactly the same or the same connotation. So we have to think more in picture and broader and really explain and give some examples a little bit more than maybe what you would do in English just as a jargon, you know. It doesn't quite translate. So there is a little bit more time invested in, I understand the concept. I need to practice the concept so that way I can internalize it. And then as I interpret it into a different language, I'm able to paint a picture or make it into the wordage and examples that will resonate with the person I'm working with, because many of our families may come from underserved areas, war-torn countries, a lot of trauma, and also very most of our countries we have to pay for going to school. So we have to pay for going to high school, pay for books. And so many of our families don't always get the luxury of finishing past the sixth grade. So again, taking the context of the curriculum into a concept that can be translated not only into Spanish, but you have different cultures, not just from Mexico, but from Colombia and Peru. And so even in Spanish, we have to interpret, well, share with me in your culture, in your country, what does this mean? And how do we practice that?
Yeah.
So we can ensure that they are practicing the way that they feel comfortable.
Just another added challenge, but I love what you said in the sense that if I'm living it, it's going to be much easier for me to
Absolutely.
help them instead of me just kind of, regurgitating a
It
concept or
doesn't make sense.
idea.
Yeah.
Right. I
You can't
mean,
just take the word and then just, yeah. You
right.
really have to understand the principles you're teaching us, embody them. And I love how that's set up and how you guide us through those processes and really allow us to practice so we can hear it, sense it, feel it, really embody it. And it's so much easier that way to then interpret it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A quick question, just because I'm curious, how many cultures do you all
So
serve?
we serve any and everyone from any background and cultural background. This is really not just Spanish speaking, but we do have a high Somalian population here in the Northeast. But yeah, I would say Mattie Rhodes has primarily served Spanish speakers, but we're of service to anyone that walks through the door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
But yeah, just yeah, more things to be mindful about in overcoming
Yeah.
those challenges and differences. So, as we kind of, look to the end of our time together, Monica, if somebody came to you, another organization, and they're like, "You're doing amazing things at Mattie Rhodes Center," what would you suggest in helping, like a first step or some baby steps toward creating a culture of mindfulness and resilience, or starting a personal journey, or whatever that might be? What would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, first I would want to know a little bit more, obviously, kind of what their experiences have been and what their organization is ready to do. If it's a personal, again, I guess Mattie Rhodes comes to mind, right? She was 19 years old, one person. And I'm in awe of her, and I look up to her because it's like, it truly is very true that one person can make a huge, huge impact and difference, right? So that would be my challenge first to that person, is to say, what are you wanting to do and learn for yourself? Because this really does have to do with, I would challenge them to look internally and within themselves and say, are you ready for this journey? And how can I help you at least get to know the journey I went through, and see if you're up for that. But um, you almost have to be the one person that's ready to practice this first and get
Mhm.
to understand the principles and the modules that are being taught and the practice that's being offered, because only then will you understand, as I mentioned before, your body will feel it, your mind will feel it. And it's hard to articulate that sometimes, right? Because it's a personal journey, and you'll have benefits. But everyone who's gone through this has said, I just feel different. I think differently. I feel differently. I feel as though I can conquer, this and this and that. Or, it is difficult. It is challenging at first because it is something that you've maybe never done before. But man, is it worth it? And I mean, I definitely would say just stay with it. Challenge yourself to just be open-minded about this process, and not only open-minded, but open heart.
Mm,
Let your
yeah.
heart be open, your mind be open, no judgments. Don't judge yourself, don't judge other people, and just allow the process to just build naturally. No one makes mistakes during this process. You're learning as you go.
Mm,
And then you will see the positives that come out of this. And quite honestly, well, is it worth the time financially and, to have staff and sacrifice our time? I'm going to say absolutely, because you'll get someone who would be invested in this and is really doing the work. You're going to see probably someone that can do, as I mentioned before, the work better,
mm,
and sometimes even more, because then it's from a place of passion. It's a place of it's just a different mindset,
yeah.
and your goals change. And as a leader, you're always asking, well, what are your goals? What are you wanting to accomplish?
Mm,
And that's a difficult question for some people. But when you practice mindfulness, when you are allowing your staff to just practice and really change their mindset and who they are, it's going to organically happen, and you're going to see fruits of your labor. You're going to
mm,
see someone who wants to come to work, who's passionate about it, who's less stressed, less anxious, who has the clarity of mind to say, I'm creative juices start happening, right? Because your mind isn't as boggled down
mm,
by all these other things, because you're practicing mindfulness. You're allowing your brain to really reset and get some clarity.
mm.
And not only will you get a more productive employee, but you as a leader will become more productive as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, and I think too, in this day and age of most organizations are really working to retain employees because there's a lot of turnover and it's very expensive. And I think it serves such a twofold kind of response
An
and
investment.
an investment, and people feel that, right? And they
Mhm.
feel like you really care about me if you're investing in
Mhm.
me.
That's right.
And then we're also then setting that person up not only to feel valued and invested in, but then we're setting them up to actually be able to find joy and manage the stress in life and navigate all the hardships
Be
and
successful in their, not only that, you're giving them a gift like we talked about earlier, you're not only giving them a gift professionally, but also personally, because it's going to penetrate into and just, have the little tentacles out into their own personal life with their relationships with their family or struggles that they aren't sharing with you potentially as a leader. But so it's a huge investment and in people, and it's worth the money, it's worth the while, and it's worth seeing that people will succeed and be fruitful individuals.
yeah,
Yep.
well, you are certainly investing in and I see it from the outside. I'm sure you do too, of just this organization that's just flourishing. And it's beautiful to watch and beautiful to see you serve the people in our community and beyond. And so appreciative of that. If somebody is listening and they want to learn more about Mattie Rhodes, where would they go, or maybe to contact you? How would they go about
Absolutely. Our website is mattierhodes.org, and I'm sure we may have that. I can provide that to you.
it? Yeah.
And then our, my own landline is 816-581-5607. I'm very happy to talk to anyone that would want to know more about either mindful momentum and or how we implemented it in our organization, as well as what we provide here at the agency. So I was
Well,
really happy to talk with you today.
oh, thank you, Monica. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And I really appreciate all of you listening today. We are here to inspire and empower your journey toward a mindful life. You can like, comment, subscribe, share, or contact me at mindful-momentum.com. And thank you so much, Monica. I hope you have
Thank you,
a
Robin. It's been a
wonderful day.
pleasure. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care. We'll see you all next time.